Hi guys, this is Niki Rowland for Shimmerz Paints, and today I am making a layout using 3 colours of Shimmerz as well as one of the new stencils by Paige Evans and my new favourite texture paste in the world that's called Puttin on the Glitz. It's Dazzlerz, and it's full of glitter, so not only is it shimmery, it's also glittery, which just makes me so happy. So the first thing I'm doing is applying the Puttin on the Glitz Dazzlerz through the star stencil by Paige onto a white background. So you can see there I just have a piece of white cardstock and I've put the white texture paste onto that background. So it's a piece of marshmallow cardstock so that it doesn't warp too much, and I'm just giving that a quick dry with a heat tool. So it doesn't need to be completely dry for me to put my colour on top, but it just needs to be kind of touch dry. Okay, so now moving on to the colours. I wanted to create 3 different strips of colour along that top section where I've put the stars. I am using this first one is a navy and it's called Witch's Blue, and that is a Creameez, you see that I added quite a lot of water there to I wanted it to kind of run or drip slightly, I'm moving on now to Blue Lagoon, which is an Inklingz. Again, I'm applying water and kind of making it run down, using my finger to manipulate the paint around in the area that I want, and suddenly you can see that my stars are starting to shine through. Because I've used quite a lot of water on this layout, I am drying each colour as I go along so that they don't bleed into each other too much. Now I don't mind a bit of bleeding, but I just wanted to make sure these colours did stay a little bit separate here. So that's why I had to dry it in between. Okay, so now I'm using my third colour, which is like a lime green, one of my favourites, and it's called Let Us Get Together, and that is a Creameez. So again, I've used my finger to move the paint around to the areas I want, and I've also added water and made drips too. So that's my most of my background complete. Other than I'm now going to go back through and add flicks. So I love adding paint splatters, literally just picking up the same colour paint with my paintbrush and adding flicks of paint all over the same areas where I've just painted. So I just put a small amount onto a craft sheet that you can see there, add some water, and then pick it up with my paintbrush and flick. So that is my background complete. So I can now move on to making the rest of my layout. So basically I wanted to add some strips of paper and some strips of colour, but I didn't want to cover up the entire background that I've just created. So I'm going small with my bits of paper, and I'm kind of going for a few different strips here. So I love this pom-pom trim that everybody's using at the moment. So I have got myself some really big pom-poms in navy, and I'm kind of going for a tone-on-tone effect here, as per usual, and I'm putting those navy pom-poms over the top of my navy area, and then I've got a couple of bits of paper there, so a greeny turquoisey strip and then a narrow lime green strip as well. So I'm putting those on their respective colours. This upsets me slightly because I don't like to have too many gaps between papers in the background, because I kind of feel that they need to be connected somehow and kind of touching or overlapping in some way. So there you go, that makes me a bit happier. So I've got the 2 clustered together on the left and the 2 clustered together on the right, so that works better. The Love Beyond Words navy paper is from Vicky Boutin Cut Apart Sheet Colour Kaleidoscope. I'm just coming through and adding a sticker. That's a border sticker that's from one of the sticker sheets from that same collection, and I'm just dressing the edges of everything, and I'm tearing and doing all sorts just to make it kind of look a bit distressed. So what I'm doing right now is I've grabbed my grey journaling pen, and I'm just going around some of the stars to make them stand out slightly more, literally drawing around them, doodling around them, around the texture paste, and also around some of the small flicks as well, the small splatters of paint. I find that this makes everything stand out slightly more, and brings out particularly the stars is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to see better with those stars. So yeah, that works really well. It's a great little technique that I do quite a lot these days. Okay, so just coming back in there and getting all of my bits and pieces kind of stuck in place. Now that my background is complete and dry, I know where my photo's going. I've mounted my photo. I'm now just going to get everything stuck in place. So I'm actually committing to the design and getting my tape out and actually sticking things in place. So trying to attach this pom-pom trim is always slightly interesting. I've just applied double-sided tape to one side of it and stuck it in place, and I'm going to run it through my sewing machine as well, but I like it to be tacked in place with tape first, so that it doesn't move too much when I'm trying to sew it in place with the sewing machine. So there you go, I've gone through my all my paper layers there with black thread on my sewing machine. I'm keeping everything vertical and going through all of those paper layers and my pom-pom trim as well. I've also added some zigzag stitching too, just for a bit more extra interest and you know, just a bit something to look a bit different. So I've just pulled all the threads through to the other side and have secured them on the back with tape. And then there's no ends trailing on the front of my layout now. They're all on the back and they're all stuck down and secured. Okay, so moving on now to embellishing my layout. Obviously, I have my basis of my layout stuck down now, but I want to embellish the layout as well. Now, I have this, I have a title in mind, but I happened to see this See the World from the Shimmerz Sparkle City sticker sheet or stickers set, and I thought that See the World would be a great part of my title, because the other word is going to be upside down, which you can see the baby is upside down in the photo. So my son carries him in this way. So I had to document that, of course. So the See the World was just an extra added bonus that I wasn't planning on, but I happened to see it and I thought, well that will really work. So what I've done is I've stuck it onto a piece of white cardstock and I'm cutting around it. The reason I've done this is because I want to slot it in there, and I don't want things to be showing through the letters, so I wanted it to have a bit of a background. So I've had to chop off one of the pom-poms so that I can put my See the World in place, and I'm going to raise those up on foam pads, and I've also stuck the word the with tile letter stickers, also from the same Shimmerz Sparkle City collection, from that little sticker book. I've stuck that onto a piece of white card as well and cut those out. And here I am going to figure out my word upside down. So I wanted to use multi-alphabet stickers, different fonts, and I couldn't get the whole word from either of these stickers. So I thought I would mix it up and go with up in the blue and side in the light blue and down in the dark blue, and I'm just putting it in position right there for placement purposes, and then I'm going to turn all the letters upside down. But I'm actually not too happy with where it's sitting, so I'm kind of going to play around with it a bit more and see if I can figure something out. So just getting my See the World in place. Now, because that has big ascenders and descenders, it's slightly more tricky to fit a word underneath it, so that's why I wanted to See the World in place first. And you can see that I'm kind of fiddling around with my letters trying to make those fit. It doesn't work, I don't like it. It's okay, it stays there for a minute, but I'm really definitely not happy with it, so I'm going to come back to that in a moment and change it round. But right now I'm going through my embellishments to see what I can pull out and what I can embellish this layout with. I'm trying to use up some of my Vicky Beauty Colour Kaleidoscope collection, so I have pulled out some bits that work in terms of these colours. I've got some journaling cards there as well, so there you go, I'm just poking that one in there to add to the green yellowy area, and then that turquoise banner, I've put a dark line around it to give it some definition, and sticking that in place, as that's going to go over on the right hand side of my photo, give me another area for a embellishment cluster. Yes, I'm just now, I'd say, still trying to kind of commit to everything. I'm getting things stuck down as I go. So I've got a flower, yellow flower, and the light bulb from the Vicky Beauty Colour Kaleidoscope collection. So they're stuck in place. Now I'm working on the cluster on the right hand side of the photo. I keep pulling in other bits to go up on the top left as well. Yeah, I found that lime green sticker there that says wild, and then I've got over on the other side, I've got the kind of like the peace sign, or I love you. It says the hand and the banner, and then I add a little label and some other bits and pieces to it as well. There you go, you can see it all there. So I like my embellishments to overlap my photo slightly, but obviously I don't want them to completely overtake them. So here I am with my title again. So I wasn't happy with the placement, so I've separated out the word. I wanted to extend the layout down a bit, which is why I then thought of moving it into 3 rows, upside down, and that works much better. I'm much happier with that. And obviously my letters are all upside down to mimic the the subject of the photo. So now that practically my whole layout is complete, I've just gone through with my journaling pen again and added a few more doodles around my background, so more paint splatters and more stars, because obviously I didn't know how many I was going to cover up. And just sticking those 2 little stickers in place there with some glossy accents, because they're chipboard and they tend to slip off after a while. So yeah, I'm nearly done now. I am just pulling out some sequins to go with this collection. So I've pulled out a set of Spiegel Mom Scraps, of course. She has beautiful sequin mixes. And the one that I've chosen to use for this layout is called Carnival Ride, and it's full of greens and turquoises and lots of lovely colours. So I'm kind of going for tone on tone embellishments again here. So I'm sticking the turquoise sequins in the turquoise area, and the navy sequins in the navy area, and the green sequins in the green area, etc. You get the point. So I'm just using glossy accents and a paper piercing tool to get my sequins stuck down. So I literally move them out of place, put a bit of glue down and pop them back into position, and then they stick down nicely with the glossy accents. That's my favourite way of sticking down sequins. And now I'm just going to add in some journaling about this crazy little photo, and this great little memory really of my 2 boys. Okay, so that is me done. I'm going to call that finished there. I hope you enjoyed the layout today. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget that if you place an order via the Shimmerz store, if you put my name in the comments, you will receive a freebie. Happy days. Okay, thank you so much. That was Niki Rowland for Shimmerz Paints.